This tutorial will cover how to navigate the Sunsynk monitoring portal. This will allow you to better understand your system. Once your Sunsynk plant is assigned to you, that's your system, you'll be able to see the name of your system here. You'll be able to see the current power from the system shown in kilowatts and the percentage of that power related to your inverter's power output. The E total today is the energy produced today. E total kilowatt hour is the energy produced from the system since installation. And last update states when the Wi-Fi dongle sent through the last packet of information. Selecting the plant here allows us to view each element of the system. Current status shows an overview of the energy produced from the system today, for the month, for the year, and the total since the installation. The capacity of the system is normally set to the inverter's peak output AC, and total revenue is a calculation based on your unit price. Moving to the power flow section, we can see that the solar is shown here, so that's the power output from the solar panels going to the inverter. Today is a rainy day, it's overcast, the system is only outputting 288 watts. Moving on from the solar to the battery shown here, multiple batteries are shown as one battery symbol on the monitoring. The battery in this case is providing 1.247. The battery in this system is providing 1247 watts, which is 1.2 kilowatts. The state of charge of the batteries is shown here, which is 43%. You can see that both the solar and the battery are feeding towards the inverter. This inverter at our test facility is providing power to an electric vehicle. So 4 kilowatts can be seen going to the property at present. The battery and the solar are not able to cover this load, so the remainder of the power is coming from the grid, as shown by the directional arrows on the screen presently. If you select Detail on the power flow section, you will be able to see a more detailed overview, primarily the two individual string inputs are shown as wattages here, and then the cumulative value. If you have multiple inverters, this drop down will show the individual inverter's serial numbers, and you can switch between each inverter there. The weather info is selected relevant to your postcode. You can see on this display the sunrise and sunset times for the day and an approximate figure of the temperature. Plant info shows the name of your plant, which can be edited, the capacity, which is normally set to the inverter output, commissioning date, the installer detail or installer name, phone number of the installation company, our phone number at Contact Solar. The plant info shows the details of the system. They can be edited by selecting this edit button. The plant info can be edited here. If you would like to upload your own image of the system, please select this box and upload your own. Selecting revenue info allows us to adjust the values relative to your system. This system has octupusagile settings set on the live price value. Most of our systems will have constant price selected. You may select time of use price if you have a split rate tariff or an off-peak tariff, also known as Economy 7 or Octupus Go. There are many different names for different tariffs. You may enter your total investment figure here and choose your valuation method. If your unit rate is flat on import from the grid, input your unit rate here. If this changes in the future, adjust it accordingly. If you have a time of use tariff or a cheaper tariff overnight than during the day, if you have a variable tariff or an off-peak tariff, Select time of use price. This example shows you Octopus Go. Between midnight and 4:30, the unit rate may be 5p, but during all other time periods, the unit rate is 35p. Live price is an advanced feature for UK users only at present. Select Confirm if you are a UK user. The provider allows us to select between available tariffs. Sunsynk presently has support for octupusagile and octupus flux at the time that this video has been released. If you're setting up octupusagile, please follow the instructions in the video linked in the description below. Moving to the contact section, this shows our details if you should ever need support from us on how to operate the system. This section shows Contact Solar's contact details. Please get in touch if you have any queries. Moving on, status shows the inverter's current status. Normal is what we would expect to see on your system. If your Wi-Fi details are changed, or your router goes out of range from the inverter, or the inverter just loses the connection to the internet, you will see it shown here as 1. The inverter is offline. The inverter is likely still generating, but the internet connection has dropped. Warning: if the inverter is showing a warning or a fault, they will be displayed here. Please contact our office via the details on your screen if your inverter shows a warning or a fault. We are more than happy to address the issue. We will look into the issue for you and ensure that the system is operating as expected. Generation purpose shows where the energy generated is used. Consumption is your home usage, the energy that you use in your house, the kettle, the TV, lights, EV charging, etc. Export is any energy that's sent back to the grid. This would normally be surplus energy, so once the batteries are fully charged and your house is using less than the solar production, the inverter will normally export back to the grid. Battery charging is shown as charging on this chart. Abnormal statistics mirrors the status section on the left side of the display for warning and fault. Abnormal statistics mirrors the status section on the left side of the display. If multiple inverters are installed within a property or business, warnings and faults will be shown here. The number of inverters with a warning or fault will be shown here. We would expect this to be 0. Energy generation shows your production over the course of the day, month, year, and total installation time period. Not just the production, but also your usage in the property and battery charging. Energy generation summarizes all of your energy usage within the property on a daily, monthly, yearly, or total basis. Energy generation shows your energy usage over the course of each day, month, year, or total. When the cursor is moved across the chart, you may observe the individual values based on power production at a resolution of 5 minutes on the daily view. The green of this chart shows the solar panel production. The red below is the property usage. The blue below the line is the battery charging from the solar in this case, and the teal coloured blue singular line is the battery state of charge going up. So on this particular system, the battery state of charge at 12:15 is showing the battery charge percentage at 83%. Selecting month, you can see each individual day's performance. Moving the cursor across each day, you may view the PV production in kilowatt hours, that's energy units, the load, which is your property consumption, export, which is the amount of energy that has gone back to the grid, i.e. not used within the property or charging the batteries, import, which is the grid usage, and the charge and discharge from the batteries on each of these days. Selecting year is similar to the month view, but on a monthly basis. Total production will show the years beside each other To view more advanced details of your system's operation, select Equipment and you can see each section. There are a series of tabs labelled Output, Input, Battery, Grid, Load and Custom. Selecting any of these tabs will show you details relevant to their label. Input is the solar input to the inverter. Finally, on the Custom tab, you can select parameters. Any of the parameters on this section can be selected and reviewed in detail back to the installation date. The Event tab shows any error codes on the system. If you would like to discuss any of the error codes shown here, if any, please contact our office. We are more than happy to help. Intelligent Device is the next tab. This shows new features that are due on the system. Sunsynk are working to integrate with various different products, and we are excited to announce them with Sunsynk in the future. The log allows you to view changes to your system on the Sunsynk monitoring platform. The manufacturer, Sunsynk, are able to view every setting that has been changed on the system since the installation date. The Layout tab shows an alternative view of the overview section and may be populated with further data in the future. To review your inverter settings for your Sunsynk inverter, select Equipment and click on the three dots in the top right hand corner, then Settings. Battery settings cover the individual batteries. Battery settings sets the parameters for your storage system. These settings should not be altered. If you have any queries about any of the settings contained on this page, please contact our team. The System Mode section controls how the energy is used within your property. The default settings are shown here, limited to home, solar export and use timer at the top. Work mode, solar export and use timer are all set to the default settings here, and these should not be altered for normal use. Max cell power is the export limit for the system. Energy pattern prioritizes the battery or the load. This setting should normally be set to priority battery. Grid trickle feed is a feature used for systems that cannot export back to the grid and require import at all times. This can be required in countries such as Hawaii. There are 6 time slots available for grid charge and gen charge. Grid charge means that the batteries will charge from the grid if this box is selected. Gen charge is for an external generator. This is not normally used. The 6 time slots are shown as a start time and an end time. There is a power figure which is normally set to the maximum for the inverter. There is a power setting which is set to the inverter's maximum power output or input typically, and the battery SOC figure for each time period. The battery SOC is a target state of charge. It can represent the top or the bottom of. Battery SOC represents the target state of charge. So if you select grid charge like it is set here for time 1, the target state of charge is 20% at present. If this is increased to 100%, then between midnight and 4:30, the batteries will charge up to 100% if it is possible for them to charge during that time period, if enough time is given during that time period for them to charge. Time 1 is ticked for grid charge to ensure that that energy goes. Time 1 is ticked for grid charge, which means time 1 is ticked for grid charge, which means that during this time period the batteries will charge from the grid. The rest of the time periods are set up as standard. The target SOC in these time periods is set to the lowest that the battery should run down to. If you are interested in other tariffs provided by energy suppliers, please contact our team and we will run through how these can be configured to work best for you. Grid settings shows the grid mode set on the inverter. This matches the standards that are applicable to the country of the installation. G98 or G99 must be selected for a UK installation at present. The auxiliary load section allows for various advanced features to be enabled. There are three primary functions for the auxiliary load section. Gen input controls how generator input is managed. Again, this is not typically used on a standard installation. Aux load output allows the inverter to divert surplus energy to a device such as an immersion heater. Full microinverter input allows the inverter to take excess power from another inverter on the system. For example, if we install a new Sunsynk inverter with batteries alongside an existing solar inverter, this would allow for the Sunsynk inverter to draw excess power from the other inverter. This would allow the Sunsynk inverter to draw excess power from the other solar inverter, which would have been exported back to the grid. Under basic settings, we can see the standard settings for an inverter and the control. In basic settings, we can see that the time syncs automatically. This should be enabled for normal operation. The beeper can be turned on and off here. It should be left in the off position typically. Basic settings contains time settings and the beeper setting. The beeper setting should be in the off position typically. Moving on to the advanced settings, these are configured by the installer or Sunsynk, the manufacturer, and should not be altered. Thank you for watching this tutorial video today. If any of the settings didn't make sense or you'd like to check them with the office, please do get in touch with our support team. We are more than happy to help. Thank you for your time.